Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. I've got such an amazing pattern to share with you guys. I've been so excited to share with you guys this analysis. I made this analysis last week, but I wanted to wait until Monday, start off the week with a bang. I wanted to share with you guys some amazing things that I've been discovering inside of Tezos and Bitcoin. Tezos has been leading Bitcoin significantly, and Tezos actually points to an exact market cycle comparison that dictates exactly where Bitcoin is ready to go. I'm very confident that once I actually show you guys this analysis, it's going to completely blow your minds, and you're going to be very excited for what's about to come with Tezos. And even if you're not a Tezos holder, you're still going to be excited because a lot of the other altcoins are just still following Bitcoin. We still have a lot of other opportunities out there to get this exact same move throughout the rest of the market. So make sure you guys stay all the way to the end of this video because I promise that you're not going to want to miss out on any of this exciting content. Make sure you guys stay to the end because I've got something exciting planned that I want to share with you. Remember guys, I also have an amazing Discord community, so make sure you guys join. It's totally free for you all to join. I have over 5,000 members. We hit that goal, so shout out to everybody that's been joining. This thing's been blowing up super fast, and I'm excited to have so many people joining. Now on the Discord server, I also offer some of my more exclusive content, like my video course and signals. The video course is an excellent resource for you new guys getting into crypto that want to start learning how to be a day trader and how to actually do this technical analysis required to be profitable inside of the market. You guys are definitely going to want to check out the course. Now the signals are an excellent resource for you guys to actually copy all of my investments that I'm taking. You'll know exactly what my long-term portfolio is, what percentages I've allocated to each investment, as well as a time for taking out profits. With that being said, I also offer some of my more short-term trades like margin trades and swing trades, so make sure you guys join if you want to copy my portfolio. All you gotta do is click in the description of this video and there you're gonna find the invitation link. Once you guys have access, shoot me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now quickly, before I jump into this video, I wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my subscribers out there. Thank you guys so much for the support. I truly believe that I have the best community out there and you guys are so positive and optimistic that it really makes me happy to be able to give you this awesome analysis every single day. So with all that being said, let's jump right in this amazing analysis today. Alrighty guys, so we're going to be taking a look at Tezos and then we're going to be diving into this amazing fractal because I want to quickly talk about a couple things here. Now after the fractal, we're also going to be doing some Bitcoin technical analysis, so for you guys that want to know what my Bitcoin TA is, just wait to the end of this video and then I will be getting that for you. Now what I want to talk about here is the market structure in Tezos. Now we're going to get into how this entire cycle is actually leading Bitcoin and how it's been leading Bitcoin for a while now. We're going to get into that, but first I wanted to go over exactly some short-term price action that we're seeing in Tezos because I think that we're at a very important part here. Now, obviously, Tezos has really been performing exceptionally well. That's why I've been super excited. It's actually funny. So the thing about my percentages of what I've allocated to each investment is they're oftentimes susceptible to changing, especially because some of these investments are going to go up a lot quicker, and so my dollar value is going to have more perceived value. And I've noticed that with Tezos specifically, I've been investing into this one since down here at $1.11, and then I really accumulated a lot just in this range right here. And within that range, I've actually made more money off Tezos than any of my other altcoin positions. And I've actually made a lot off of Link too, but I had much more money invested in Tezos. And so Tezos has continuously been my biggest crypto investment since this rise because of the dollar value increase that it's had. And so it makes me very confident in what we're seeing here. Overall, I do really like Tezos a lot, and I've been updating you guys significantly with my reasons why. So let's talk about some things here. Now, what I updated you guys with in the last video was really this resistance here. This is a pretty major resistance point inside of Tezos, and we can actually throw it back all the way to over here. So let's go and let's put this at the top of the resistance. Let's go right there. So we can see that this is an area of strong demand. We've reacted to this level a number of different times. And most recently, this was our point in which we were getting rejected and falling lower. And we can see that every attempt to break through that fell in a lower low, or a lower high, I should say. And then eventually what happened was in January into February, we actually broke out of that convincingly. Only what happened was in this sell-off, during this initial correction, I was telling you guys that I didn't expect it to break through this level, and then we got the volatility of the pandemic, and then we busted through that and then immediately shot back up. And so I actually did manage to accumulate some buy ladders through here. I did not manage to get all the way at the bottom. I did manage to buy some at about $1.63, so I'm happy with that. But I did manage to get filled all throughout this dip. It just was a little bit higher than I wish I could have bought, you know, had I been able to buy all the way back down here at almost $1.11 back at my primary entry. So there's always good opportunities in the market. That's why it's important to have some cash on hand. I made the mistake of kind of putting too much cash down in this bear market. But the problem was the fact that the bear market was 72% from 14K to 3.2K. It's hard to know exactly where that bottom's going to be, so I just have to do my part by accumulating. But overall, guys, Tezos has made me a lot of money, and we've broken back above this level, which is very bullish. I think regardless, as long as we're above this level here at $1.85, that's going to be a go-to for more upside, and we're convincingly above this level, and both breakouts have been above this level. So I think that that's a good sign. Now, realistically, we have another one that I'm watching for. And this was probably where I'd mark it about right. Let's go about right here. So this is the next level that I'm personally going to be watching for. We can see that after the initial top, this was our first lower high, and that first lower high kind of saw us bottom in this area. And we also saw reactions over here from these two wicks. We saw a reaction right here, and we also saw a reaction from right here. And so this looks like a really strong area of demand. If we draw this over here a little bit further, we're going to see that this also lines up pretty strongly with this area, with this level, and with this level. So I think that these two levels are the real psychological resistance levels that we needed to watch for. We have broken from the one at $1.85. We have continued to impulse past that point. And now we've actually broken back above this secondary one as well. And we are kind of selling off. And so for me, guys, it is very possible that we could see a short-term correction. And this is the cycle top right here. Very, very possible. I'm not writing off that scenario because I've been updating you guys explaining that I was expecting a short-term correction. But the difference between, you know, the people that get angry about the fact that I call a short-term correction and the people that get angry that I'm still bullish, you know, is the fact that both of those people either didn't sell the very high in their profits and they didn't take any profits, or they managed to sell the bottom and panic sell instead of taking those profits at the top. And so they're mad at me for some reason. But the thing is, guys, the people that were buying in this dip, they're in profit. People like me that weren't being shaken out, that took time to accumulate down here, we're in profit because that's the way the market moves. When there's a strong crash and you buy that crash, there's going to be a strong reaction on the upside more often than not. Oftentimes, you know, there might be some differences in that, but overall, that's what happens. And so that's why it pays to average into the dips. Now, for here, guys, the fact that we're falling back down, back to this level, I want to see this level hold. I think this is a really important level that if we can hold this, it's going to set us up for another big impulse. Let's actually drop this to a bigger time frame here. If we can hold this level at $2.53, it's going to set us up for the next big impulse in the cycle. And in my opinion, it's going to at least take us back up to this cycle high at about $3.89. But really, guys, I think if we can hold this level, it's going to set us up for a pretty decent rise. And then we should be theoretically ready to hit up towards this level at about, you know, just under $6, $5.80, right about up here. Now, there's a couple scenarios that I'm personally watching for. Even though we are above this level, it's possible that we could bounce up a little bit higher. Maybe we hit about $3.10, and then we get that short-term top. And then we kind of bounce around here. And then we go back up in that cycle, right? I think we could see something like that. There's always a possibility. It probably wouldn't take as long as I just drew it to actually accumulate. It's also possible that if this is the cycle high, bearish scenario, we drop back within this level, and then we actually come back down to retest all the way back down to about $1.85, which I think would actually follow us pretty closely to that 618. Yeah, so it would be right on the 618 Fibonacci. And so really, guys, that's going to be the two scenarios that I'm watching for. Realistically, I think that we're either going to stay above this level at $2.53, or we're going to reject pretty close to where we're at if this isn't already the cycle high. And then we're going to fall to the 618 at about $1.85. So for me, guys, it really just hinges on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's topped out right here and we're going to start falling, you know, then obviously option 2 is going to happen. But if Bitcoin keeps rallying higher, then it's most likely going to see Tezos doing the same thing. Now, let's actually dive into this fractal analysis because this is going to blow your guys' mind. Here we have my analysis that I made for you guys. Now, I saw this person posting on Twitter, and he was comparing this Bitcoin cycle here, because we have Bitcoin at the top and we have Tezos at the bottom. He was comparing this Bitcoin cycle at the top to the Amazon fractal that I've been sharing with you guys with Tezos. And when he showed this and he said, guys, look how much Bitcoin actually looks like the Amazon cycle. And when he said that, I was like, oh wait, I've been showing all of my subscribers Tezos compared to the Amazon cycle. And you're telling me that Bitcoin looks like the Amazon cycle? And then I started thinking and I started realizing, oh my gosh, guys, Bitcoin is actually following Tezos here, and we can see the market structure playing out. Now, this at the top is Bitcoin. Let's go through the chain of events that actually took place over the last couple years. Now, basically, in 2018, after the initial top of $20,000, we sold off, and then we contracted in this descending triangle. And this was the 6K support floor where everything chopped around, got tighter and tighter, until eventually the sellers became too great and we sold for one more low. This was the capitulation of the cycle. This is the lowest low that we went, and from that point we've created macro higher highs in this new bull trend. We can see that we got the cycle low and capitulation. And then what follows is this rounded bottom formation. And then this green dotted line explains that there was an uptrend that followed. And this was our first impulse. It took us all the way back up to the top of the resistance of this descending triangle, which equated to about a $14,000 Bitcoin. And then we started the correction back down. We went through this really choppy action all the way back down to about this 6K support floor before we broke out of that descending resistance, and this took us to a bull trap. I was a firm believer that at the new year the bottom was in, and that this impulse was us making a further higher high, but I was wrong and we sold for one more low, so this was a bull trap. Now, obviously, I think that things could have been very different if we didn't have all of this liquidity scare happening in the market, in the financial markets, but overall, it doesn't really matter because I did what I could to accumulate. So we get the sell-off. This takes us to 3,800, and this starts capitulation too. Now, let's go through and look at Tezos because we're going to see the exact same comparison here. So Tezos, we top out, we start contracting in this descending triangle. We sell through that, and then this is what starts capitulation. We get the lower low, we make our first impulse, and we start getting this rounded bottom, and then we start the first uptrend in that cycle. And so Tezos uptrends, as indicated by this dotted green line, and then we get the cycle high. This takes us to the descending resistance. This takes us to the resistance of this descending triangle, and then we start the correction back down. Now, we eventually come back onto support of this descending triangle, and then we break out of that descending resistance. And this is where we get our bull trap, just like Bitcoin, guys, exactly the same. We drop down to here, we bull trap, and then we fall to one more low. And to be quite honest, guys, I personally believe that this would have been the more likely scenario for Bitcoin if there wasn't so much volatility in the market because of all of this liquidity crunch that we experienced with the global pandemic and all of this stuff. And I think that this is what would have happened. Now, I think we would have had a short-term correction back down to about the support floor from right here before the bull trap, and then we would have sold through it for one more low. And I think that would have happened right here. We would have came down to about this support level, we would have consolidated sideways, and then sold for one more low that probably would have only taken us to about 5K at the most. I don't think we would have got as volatile as we did, but things happen. Now, this takes us to the next part of this, because what happened after capitulation 2 inside of Tezos was a huge impulse, and we saw it break all the way up here to $3.84 from a cycle high of about $1.60. So this was an insane move. And we are now seeing the exact same thing playing out in Bitcoin. Guys, this is so cool. And, you know, because we're seeing such correlated market structure, whether you believe that Tezos is actually leading Bitcoin or not, I think that this chart perfectly kind of explains and encompasses what is taking place in this market, because Tezos is 100% leading Bitcoin. And that's why I'm expecting something similar to this playing out from Bitcoin very soon. I think that it's possible that we're going to get one more little impulse out of this consolidation. Keep in mind, guys, it's also very likely that we could just drop and start our first short-term correction from the impulse, which is another scenario that I'm watching. Regardless, I think that both of this is going to lead to the same exact common path. Now, whether we impulse up to 8 or 9K and then correct, or whether we start correcting roughly where we're at now, it doesn't change the scenario. Both scenarios lead the same path. Now, in my opinion, we'll get this as our first short-term correction, and we'll get this correction that'll take place either shortly after the halving or right before this halving will start to correct. And that's just the way the cycles have worked in the last one. We had a short-term sell-off that took place after the halving. And so I think that it's likely that we're going to see something similar again. I think that we'll impulse, we'll get the halving, and then we'll start the short-term correction. When we start selling off after the halving, everybody that was riding the narrative that the halving was super bullish, all of the weak hands that weren't really looking at the long-term prospect are just going to panic sell when it starts to drop a little bit. And then that's going to shake out the rest of the market that we really need before we can bounce up. And in my opinion, the halving will happen around this consolidation, and then we'll break up to that 14K mark. And, you know, I don't think that this short-term correction afterwards is going to drop all the way back down to, you know, $6,500. I think that we'd have a short-term correction that takes us back down to probably about $10,500, right about here. And then we would go up. So imagine Tezos, how it looks here. Big impulse 1, big impulse 2, and then we kind of have this little short-term correction. I think that this little short-term correction up here would take place and land about 10,500. We wouldn't have to come all the way back down here and have that volatile move. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking with Bitcoin. I think that because we're seeing such correlations between Bitcoin and Tezos, and because Tezos has been leading the market structure thus far, that pattern is going to continue to play out. And it's really important that we invest into these coins because you can earn interest just from holding Tezos. That's such a good opportunity. Not only are you going to make massive gains from holding the length of the trend, but Tezos itself is stake rewardable. So if you stake your coins, you're going to get paid annually, and that's going to be really good. I mean, you can make a couple Tezos a day depending on how much you have invested, or you can make, 10, 20, 30 plus. There's a lot of different ways to make money in this market, and it's important that we're optimizing these opportunities when given. But anyways, guys, let's jump into the Bitcoin analysis next so that we can talk about some short-term things. Quickly, before we jump into that, if you're here for the Tezos analysis, I want to know what you guys think about this. What do you think this means long-term for Bitcoin? What do you think this means long-term for Tezos? And what do you guys think now, maybe not being a Tezos holder after or before watching this video, but what do you guys think about Tezos now? Are you maybe considering putting a little bit of a portion towards Tezos? Or are you still just going to kind of stick to your guns and just hold through with what you've got already? Very interested to know, so comment below so I can watch and read those comments after this video. Now here we are, guys, taking a look at Bitcoin on the dollar. Some interesting things happening inside of Bitcoin. Realistically, since my last Bitcoin update, we've actually broken out of this resistance, and we're just kind of consolidating outside of that. In my last video, if we drop this to a shorter time frame, in my last video, what I shared with you guys is we were all the way back down in here. I said that this looked like a bump and run reversal pattern, and I said that this also looked a lot like a symmetrical triangle. And we actually broke out of that immediately after I made my video, and we've just kind of consolidated outside of that. But realistically, we're outside of that resistance. We're on support of the previous high before the breakout. And so that looks really good, and we're just outside of that. So as long as this level holds at about 7,500, I'd say that we're bullish. The second that we start selling below 7,500, I think that that's going to set us up for a bigger drop closer to about 7K. So that's what I'd be watching out for. But if we go to a bigger time frame, let's talk about some things here today. Let's see here. So on a monthly time scale, not much has changed. We still have our buyback that's ensuing. We are back above this resistance of this candle body at the new year, which was about right here. So let's see what price that is. 75.43. We're actually closing a little bit above this level. So that's really good. We're engulfing over the new year high, or the candle body of the new year low, I should say. That didn't make sense. And so I think that this is showing a little bit more strength. And if we can continue to break out higher like we have thus far, which looks like the trend that's following, I'm not going to try and fight that trend until we actually get a sizable correction. But I think that that's really, really bullish. Now, if we drop to a weekly time frame, let's talk about some more things off this level. So here we are taking a look on the weekly scale. Now, on the weekly scale, I want to talk about a couple things here. Like I said, we did have the candle bodies at about 75.43. Right about here. So this was our new year resistance, and we're actually back above this. Now, even though it's likely that we could continue up, there's also the possibility that we could see a little bit of a correction back down. And so if we do see a correction, I want to keep us updated so that we're all on the same page together. To me personally, let's look at the fibs. Now the 618, we're basically right there. The 618 is going to be about 8K approximately, almost right on the dot. And so it's likely that we're either going to start to have this correction at about 6K or 9K, either one of those two. The most bullish scenario is after we reclaim this area, we get a strong impulse to 9K, and then from there we would kind of correct back down. But honestly, guys, the fact that we're back at 8K approximately, and if we can't hit 8K, I think it's likely that the lows of the new year are going to hold as support, and we're not going to go back below 6,400. And in fact, I'm going to hold naturally to that bias. I updated you guys and said that there was possibilities we could hit 58 and all the way back down to, low 5,300. And that is still possible and on the table. But what I want to mention to you guys is the fact that because we've impulsed so strongly, because we've had such a nice buyback, I think that it's less likely that we're going to see such a strong drop off when this thing does start to retrace. I think that this was capitulation, and so we don't need to see nearly the same sort of volatility as much. And the more bullish market structure shows, the less that we actually need to sell off to go back down to retest. So I think that it's more likely that we're going to hold at 6,400. If we start to sell below 6,400, that's going to indicate some more weakness in my opinion, and it's going to make me want to probably start hedging my investment a little bit more. And so that's kind of what I'm watching out for with Bitcoin on the weekly. Realistically, if we still pull up our accumulation pattern, this is what I have this labeled as. I personally believe that this is just a big triangle correction, and that's exactly what we're doing. It's just kind of contracting within the boundaries of this symmetrical triangle. And guys, we're gonna see a big breakout of this because it's coiling so tight. When this thing breaks, because it's a triangle, triangles tend to break whatever way they're going to really quickly. And so I think that because of this has already been an established bull trend, the obvious explanation for where it's going to break is going to be bullish. And so if we can break bullish, I think that it's going to see a really quick rise to that 14K mark. And that's actually what I updated you guys in this exact chart here, was the fact that I'm expecting Bitcoin to do this, because forget Bitcoin to actually break out of this major triangle pattern and this corrective pattern that we're seeing here. I think that it's going to see a pretty decent rise, very similar to the Tezos fractal. We're going to label it over Bitcoin here. Now, I don't think it's going to be as volatile, but I still think it's going to play out similarly. Actually, the first person to actually point this pattern out to me was Credible Crypto. Shout out to him. He was the person that was actually showing that he expected this to be the corrective move for Bitcoin. He said that we were going to come up, fall back down, and then get another impulse like this, like a big ABC correction back up. And that was going to take us to this 14K mark. And that's actually what I think will happen. Now, in my opinion, we're either going to get a strong impulse to this 14K mark, or if we get real impulsive, it's possible that we could legit get an impulse straight up to this all-time high mark. Both of these are very valid scenarios, and in fact, I would lead to either two of these. I personally think that either or is very valid, and I'll be watching for both of them, but this is personally the way I'm going to be trading Bitcoin for the long term, because this is really what I'm expecting to play out. Now, either this is what's going to happen, guys. Either we're going to get a short-term correction after this halving, wherever we go, whether it's 8 or 9K, it doesn't matter. We're going to sell off. We're going to come back down to retest the primary's lows here at about $6,400. And then we're going to impulse break outside of this descending resistance. And from here, there's two different scenarios. Either scenario one, we impulse and break up to 14K. We fall back down to retest this bear trap that we saw during the initial correction. So we went from 14K down to the 6K support floor. We had this bull trap before the capitulation sell-off. In my opinion, if we're going for option number one here, that is going to be the breakout to 14K. We're going to retest this level at about 10,500, and it'll look something like this. This will be a support and resistance flip of this level, and then that's actually going to take us up to that next impulse to the all-time high mark, right? And that's kind of what I'm going to be expecting up to this point. Now, the next scenario is the most bullish scenario, and that's actually where we get an impulse up to this all-time high mark instead of really stopping at 14K. And at that point, we'd be getting our bullish support and resistance flip, at the 14K mark instead of going and flipping this level down here. And to be quite honest, I think that we'll easily be able to tell what one's going to happen based off of this move that we're in. If we really get a strong impulse upwards of 9K and potentially even higher, who knows, guys? Maybe we come up and tag this descending resistance in this next move. We still aren't finished with it. I mean, unless Bitcoin immediately starts selling off today, the logical explanation is going to be to look for more upside. And so it's very likely that we could get this impulse. We tag this descending resistance of the triangle, and then we sell off to retest these lows at about 6,500, and then we break up to 14K. And then we would be having a support and resistance flip of 14,000 instead. Or, like I said, the other scenario is that we kind of come up to this 14K mark, or we come up to about 8K, sell off back down to the New Year support at about 6,400, get our impulse that breaks outside of this contracting triangle. It tags the cycle high at 14,000, and then we get a support and resistance flip of 10,500, or the bull trap. And then that's going to actually set us up for that next big impulse to the all-time high mark. And that's going to be the way that I'm personally playing Bitcoin from here on out. Realistically, both paths lead to the same place. Both paths are going to be a strong breakout. Whether that breakout is even bigger to the all-time high, whether that breakout is just to the cycle high at 14K, we're going to have to watch and see. But for me, I think that this looks very bullish. And the fact that, you know, guys, Tezos is actually leading Bitcoin, and we've seen Tezos and Chainlink really leading Bitcoin, I think that that's a big confidence builder, realistically for me, because I've been such a big Tezos supporter. The fact that it's already kind of proved my point, and we've saw such a strong parabolic run here, makes me very confident that what we're seeing here is only going to continue to play out. So make sure that you guys are packing your bags. Make sure that you guys are staying true to your trading plan, because, you know, Tezos is an excellent investment. I've been preaching this. On top of that, I've been preaching that the bottom was in for Bitcoin. The fact is, guys, we're seeing such correlations between the two, and we both know we all know what happened to Tezos shortly after this capitulation number 2. And, you know, guys, if Bitcoin's going to do the exact same thing, we have a real good opportunity of making some decent profits. And so it's important that we're sticking to that trend, because, guys, if Bitcoin rips up like this, do you know what's going to happen to the altcoins if they start doing that? Because, you know, guys, I think the next impulse is going to see altcoins really taking charge. And so if Bitcoin's going to rip up this hard, which would be, you know, let's see, about approximately like 80%, 85% impulse, and potentially even higher than that, that's a big move, all of that happen at once. And the altcoins are going to see an even bigger move. So plan accordingly, stick to your trading plans, and hold through. But with all that being said, I think I've covered enough here. Make sure you guys join the Discord by clicking in the description of this video. Click that invitation link. Message me if you guys want access to my more exclusive content, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for the support. I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.